Dystopian predictive policing, a new challenge to one of the worst Supreme Court decisions, and police arrest the wrong woman on Christmas.
Innocent people often get trapped in the criminal justice system.
A bill moving through the state legislature could reduce the number of wrongful convictions. It would require law enforcement agencies to turn over all information that might show a defendant is not guilty,
due to mistakes that change their lives forever. What really happens behind closed doors?
And Clarice, current laws require prosecutors to turn over everything they have to the defense, but not law enforcement, who sometimes don't disclose everything discovered in an investigation. Proponents call it a big step in criminal justice reform and transparency.
Watch this shocking journey of wrongful convictions that will make you question everything you thought you knew.
And Rebecca Lopez discovered more innocent people are behind bars, all because of evidence that was never released.
Eyewitness errors. In 1984, Ronald Cotton was wrongfully convicted of rape and burglary. The crime took place in a small town, where Jennifer Thompson Canino was attacked. After the assault, she was asked to identify her attacker from a lineup. Confidently, Jennifer chose Ronald Cotton, despite her memory being clouded by fear and stress. Ronald was arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. Years later, with the advent of DNA testing, it was revealed that Ronald was innocent. The real perpetrator, Bobby Poole, had been serving time in prison, but no one had linked him to the crime. 1995 DNA evidence exonerated Ronald, who had already spent over 10 years behind bars. This case highlights a tragic reality: eyewitness misidentification, a major factor in wrongful convictions. In Ronald's case, a mix of stress, faulty police procedures, and the certainty of the victim led to the mistake. His story reminds us of the need for better training in identification processes, ensuring that innocent people like Ronald don't suffer for crimes they didn't commit. This tragic mistake shows how easily innocent individuals can become victims of the justice system. False confessions. In 1990, the Central Park 5 case shocked the nation. 5 young men, Kevin Richardson, Raymond Santana, Antron McCrae, Yusuf Salam, and Corey Wise, were wrongfully convicted of the brutal assault and rape of a woman in Central Park, New York. Despite their innocence, the police used aggressive interrogation tactics to pressure the teens into confessing. The confessions, which were full of inconsistencies, were later proven to be coerced. The boys, ranging from 14 to 16 years old, were intimidated and told that confessing would make the case go away. After hours of questioning without their parents or legal counsel, they admitted to crimes they didn't commit. These confessions were the primary evidence used against them in court. In 2002, the true perpetrator, Macias Reyes, confessed to the crime, and DNA evidence confirmed his guilt. The 5 young men, who had spent 7 to 13 years in prison, were exonerated. This case highlights the dangers of false confessions, showing how the justice system can trap innocent people, especially vulnerable teens, under intense pressure. Faulty forensics. In 1999, Stephen Avery was wrongfully convicted of sexual assault and attempted murder in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin. Avery had been sentenced to 32 years for a crime he didn't commit. The case relied heavily on faulty forensic evidence, particularly hair comparison, which was later found to be unreliable. Avery's conviction was based on this flawed forensic evidence, which had been improperly handled. After years of legal battles, in 2003, DNA testing proved his innocence, leading to his release after serving 18 years. The DNA test revealed that the hair found at the crime scene did not match Avery's, but belonged to another man. However, shortly after his release, Avery was arrested again, this time for the murder of Teresa Halbach. The case raised questions about the integrity of forensic evidence and whether the system had learned from past mistakes. Stephen Avery's story serves as a reminder that forensic science, while powerful, is not infallible. Misapplication of forensic evidence can easily lead to the conviction of innocent people. False testimonies. In 1981, Carlton Gary, known as the Stalking Strangler, was convicted of multiple crimes in Columbus, Georgia. The case against him relied mainly on witness statements from women who claimed to have seen him near the crime scenes. However, their testimonies were uncertain, as none of them could confidently identify him, and their memories were affected by the trauma of the incidents. Gary's conviction was further supported by another false claim from a jailhouse informant, who alleged that Gary had admitted to the crimes. This statement was later proven to be untrue. In 2009, DNA evidence finally cleared Carlton Gary, showing that the biological traces found at the crime scenes did not belong to him. After spending 29 years on death row, he was exonerated, but sadly he passed away in 2018 before he could fully clear his name. This case underscores the dangers of unreliable testimonies, both from witnesses and informants. The conviction was based on weak evidence, demonstrating how innocent people can be wrongly accused due to misleading or false statements. Police misconduct. In 1991, Timothy Cole, a Texas man, was wrongfully convicted of the rape of Michelle Mallon. The case was largely based on a flawed identification procedure. Timothy, who had no prior criminal record, was arrested despite lacking any physical evidence linking him to the crime. The victim had mistakenly identified him from a lineup. Over the years, it became clear that police misconduct played a significant role in his conviction. The prosecution failed to disclose evidence that could have exonerated him, and key witnesses who could have helped prove his innocence were never interviewed. Despite his claims of innocence, Timothy spent 14 years in prison. In 2009, DNA testing on evidence from the case finally exonerated him, revealing that he was not the perpetrator. Tragically, Timothy died in 1999 while still imprisoned, never seeing his name cleared. Timothy Cole's case underscores the profound impact of police misconduct in wrongful convictions. His story shows how suppressed evidence and improper procedures can trap innocent people in the justice system. Inadequate defense. In 1987, Kirk Bloodsworth was wrongfully convicted of the brutal rape and murder of a 9-year-old girl in Maryland. The conviction was based on eyewitness misidentification and the testimony of a questionable forensic expert. Kirk had no criminal history and was initially unable to mount an effective defense. His lawyer failed to investigate the case thoroughly, missing crucial evidence that could have proven his innocence. The defense did not call key witnesses or challenge the weak evidence presented by the prosecution. It wasn't until 1992, after DNA testing became more advanced, that Kirk's conviction was overturned. The DNA test revealed that he was not the perpetrator, and the true killer was later identified. Kirk served 9 years in prison before being exonerated, and his case demonstrates how inadequate legal defense, poor investigation, and ineffective advocacy can result in the wrongful conviction of an innocent person. Racial bias. In 1983, Darrell Hunt, an African-American man, was wrongfully convicted of the rape and murder of a white woman in North Carolina. Hunt's conviction was largely based on racial bias, as he was immediately targeted as the prime suspect because of his race, despite having no physical evidence linking him to the crime. The prosecution's case was built on faulty eyewitness identification and misleading forensic evidence. The police failed to investigate other leads, and the jury, influenced by racial stereotypes, convicted Hunt. He was sentenced to life in prison. It wasn't until 2003, after DNA testing proved his innocence, that Darrell Hunt was exonerated. He had spent 19 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. Hunt's case is a stark example of how racial bias can lead to the wrongful conviction of innocent individuals, highlighting the systemic issues of prejudice that persist within the criminal justice system. Jailhouse informants. In 1994, Ronnie Long was wrongfully convicted of the rape and burglary of a woman in North Carolina. His conviction was heavily influenced by the testimony of a jailhouse informant who claimed Ronnie had confessed to the crime while incarcerated. This informant's testimony was unreliable and later proven to be fabricated. The prosecution relied on the informant's statement, despite the fact that there was no physical evidence linking Long to the crime. The informant, who was seeking a reduced sentence, had a history of providing false testimonies to law enforcement. After serving 44 years in prison, DNA testing in 2020 revealed that Ronnie Long was innocent, and the true perpetrator was identified. Long was finally released, but his case demonstrates the dangers of relying on jailhouse informants, whose testimony can lead to wrongful convictions and the imprisonment of innocent people. You won't believe the truth behind wrongful convictions. Stay tuned for our next video. Can you cheat a lie detector? The science of deception. Don't miss out on more jaw-dropping revelations. Subscribe now and hit the bell to never miss a story that could change your perspective.